The Blackhawks are in Winnipeg to face Jonathan Toews and the Jets for the first time. Let's talk about our feels next on CHGO Blackhawks. CHGO Blackhawks pregame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And this is no ordinary game for your Chicago Blackhawks as they are in Winnipeg to face their former captain and three-time Stanley Cup champion, Jonathan Toews, for the first time. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Joey's here running the show. Steven's hanging out. We have a packed house here at the CHGO studios. All four of us are here.
So many people. Not a seat empty.
We're going to hear from Jonathan Toews. We're going to hear from Jeff Blashill. We're going to hear from Connor Bedard. But before any of that, this has felt like a really long day. And maybe it's because I circled this date on the calendar the second the schedule came out. And I've been kind of wondering about how am I going to feel during this game? What's it going to be like to watch Jonathan Toews play against the team that he created so many memories in? And, you know, I've said it all the time, like, without Jonathan Toews and those teammates, like, I'm probably not sitting here. You're probably not sitting here.
Fair to say.
The interest in the Blackhawks, I can't even imagine how bad it would be if those things never happened. And we are, 27 minutes away from puck drop, and I still don't know how it's going to feel. I don't, and I don't know. I'm kind of anxious about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be weird. I mean, I think we've seen Patrick Kane play in now 2 different uniforms.
Yep.
We've seen Duncan Keith play in a different uniform. Brent Seabrook was a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Who can forget?
Technically. Yeah, I mean, we've done this. We've done this. Corey Crawford was with the New Jersey Devils for a preseason. We've seen this story before, but it still feels
different.
It feels weird. I would say this, for me, I'm actually having the opposite reaction. Thinking about this 6-game road trip coming up for the Blackhawks, how they've been playing. It wasn't until on Tuesday in the morning skate when Tracy Myers was asking questions about Jonathan Toews, I was like, oh yeah, they play Winnipeg. That's right. Like, because in my head, I've been thinking January 19th.
Yeah.
That's the big day because it's Toews against the Blackhawks in Chicago. For me, that has been the that's going to be a big thing. But tonight, I mean, tonight is going to be, it's going to be different because now we're watching him. He's at home, not quote unquote at home. He's literally at home from Winnipeg, playing for his hometown team.
That's impressive.
But he'll be in that element where he has the home team support. It's not really about him doing, the being back in Chicago and all that. So it'll have a different feel than it will when he comes to town in January. But it's still going to be that, eyes on Toews. We've seen the pictures, we've seen videos on social media. Like, if you've caught a Jets game, you've seen him. He's been having a really good start to the year too, considering everything he went through to get back to this point. So I know how I feel. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Toews play. I'm excited to see him not in person, but focus on a game with him playing. See what he looks like, because by all accounts, by people that have watched him and talked to him and everything, like, he seems like the old version of himself, which is really cool.
Yeah, he's having a decent start in his 10 games. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists. He is an uncharacteristic -5. But this is a guy who hasn't played hockey in 2 years.
And he's winning faceoffs like a mother.
He's finding his way back home. And I don't know, like, you mentioned Patrick Kane, and I think that's kind of the closest thing we have to what's happening right now because homegrown, all the moments, all that stuff. But like, for me, Jonathan Toews was always on his own sort of pedestal when he was when he played for the Hawks. Like
being the captain,
I think part of it, aside from the captaincy, there was no baggage with Jonathan Toews. You got some of that with Patrick Kane. And whether or not that affected your fandom, I'm not judging you for it. I'm talking about me right now. So for me, there was always a little bit of backburnerness for my Patrick Kane fandom.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel gross for an entire summer and a little bit longer than that. Jonathan Toews never did that, right? And I think, I don't know, I think that's maybe why this one feels a little more painful. And I think for me, the feeling with Kane's first game against the Hawks was dread of this dude is absolutely scoring, and it's absolutely going to be a huge moment, and it's absolutely going to break the hearts of Hawks fans or make half of them cheer, however they're on it. And it was true. Overtime winner in his first game against the Hawks as a Red Wing. The Red Wing part of it makes it hurt a lot too.
Yeah, that stunk.
But I just think with Toews, it just feels
stinks.
weird. I don't know. If there's one guy I didn't want to see in a different uniform, it was Jonathan Toews. And I know that's selfish, and I am definitely rooting for his success this year. Yeah. And if the Jets make the playoffs and the Hawks don't, I am all Jets the whole way because I want to see him do it and overcome everything he's been through. But tonight it's going to be tough. Tonight's going to be a tough game to watch for me.
Yeah, I think the difference between the two for me is that Kane was traded, and Toews felt like he had his goodbye. You know, that final game that he played at the United Center, it really did feel like that's it. I thought it was it for his career, but that felt like the send off for him as a member of the Blackhawks, and it was fitting. I think the only thing I'd change about that is he scores on that overtime breakaway.
Oh my God! Could you imagine?
That would have been insane.
And not only that, you would have had that for Toews, and then Patrick Kane, his last shot as a Hawk was home. As the horn sounded.
Yeah.
In regulation, and it went in, but it went in before the period ended.
0.1 seconds
or
late,
after the period ended, so it didn't count. Both of them would have had basically walk-off ends to their Hawks career.
That would have been crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, to me it feels like I've already done the send-off for me of Toews and being the Blackhawks. So when it was like he's coming back, he's playing in Winnipeg, I think I was beyond the any lingering feelings of holding on to him with the Blackhawks because I felt like book was closed. So now I think it feels different than, okay, Patrick Kane, he was traded. It was and it became this whole thing of you got to trade Patrick Kane because you got to maximize value because rebuild purposes. And then, everyone else on the other side was like, how can you trade Patrick Kane? He doesn't want to leave. The whole thing. You can go back and watch all of our 2022 podcasts and all that to go back and live that time again. But it just felt a lot different because with Toews, it was just we just want him to be healthy and keep playing hockey.
Yeah.
Well, right. Isn't that what's also kind of weird about Jonathan Toews was Mr. Consistent, Captain Serious. You could always count on him year in, year out. Hasn't the last 5 years of Jonathan Toews' life been just strange?
Yeah.
In terms of the mystery of the injury and the send-off, and now he's in Winnipeg. It's a journey that I personally didn't see coming for someone that was so steady Eddie for so many years.
And we were all we've all been kind of, hope is the wrong word. I think we've all been kind of waiting to give him his flowers and say, hey man, announce your retirement so we can have the party.
Yeah.
We all want to have the party for you. And a couple years ago, I was having a conversation with a member of Blackhawks leadership, and they basically said to him, hey, let us know. We're ready to give you Jonathan Toews month or whatever it's going to be. And you just got to let us know. And he was either, radio silence or was just I'm going to try to do this again. And no one really thought it was realistic. I don't know if Jonathan really thought it was realistic, but he has worked his ass off to get back. He put himself through hell. Go read that GQ article. Listen to his interview with Elliot Friedman. It was harrowing what he went through. And I've said it all along. If there's one guy I'm going to bet could pull off what he is pulling off, it would be Jonathan Toews. And he's done it so far. So props to him. I hope he has, a full season of really good play and a long playoff run. I am rooting for the guy, but I just think tonight's going to be weird. Should we hear from him right now before we get into the...
Sure.
Let's do it. Let's hear from Blackhawks captain Jonathan Toews. We want to thank the Winnipeg Jets for use of this video.
Comes back here. Not a lot of guys left in that team that you play with. Does that take the luster off any reunion, or is it part about the organization stuff? Do they give you a chance?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess I don't think of it that way. Still got a couple good friends on the team, and the training staff and a lot of those guys are still there. But yeah, overall, I think there's still that connection to the organization and the city of Chicago, and I think there always will be. I think Chicago was my home for a long time, and it's days like this that you get to kind of stop for a second and reflect, look back, and I always said there was a lot of years in Chicago that felt like Groundhog's Day, because it's like the same group of guys and same coaching staff and a lot of the same continuity, and so you kind of start to think that things are never going to change, or at least you just assume that that's the way things are with every organization, and but then things change really fast, and here we are. So I've always said too, I'm very thankful for how things went in Chicago. It was definitely a dream, and we had some tougher years at the end of my time there that helped you kind of put things in perspective and make you realize that the success we had is what everyone in the league is going after, and that's a really, really hard thing to do. And I think maybe when it happens early in your career, it's not that you take it for granted, but like I said, you just kind of assume this is normal on some level. But yeah, it's we'll always have a special connection to the people there and the city of Chicago, and so yeah, I'll be excited for this one tonight.
Jonathan, I know they're a Central Division rival now, but does it warm your heart a little bit to see the Blackhawks on this upward trajectory and a lot of the young talent they have? Just what have you seen from maybe them this year?
Yeah, I mean, it is good to see. I think ultimately, the fans in Chicago are incredible, and it's nice to see that they have something to cheer for, and some great young talent that is really getting that United Center rocking again, and so yeah, it's exciting to see. And I think some pretty good young players that are already showing a lot of confidence and some ability out there. So it'll be a good test for us there as well.
There he is, Jonathan Toews, talking about his old team, the Blackhawks. Again, thanks to the Winnipeg Jets for use of that video. You could tell, and if you read Mark Lazarus' piece with Toews yesterday at The Athletic, he did talk about how Jonathan has been keeping an eye on things in Chicago, and I think slipped up and said "we" a couple times when referring to the Hawks,
yeah.
which is cool.
I mean, hey, it's muscle memory at that point, right? Yeah,
I think so. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a fun game to watch, and there's one little part of it is Connor Bedard spoke before the game too, and we got this ready, Joey? All right, cool. He was asked about what were his memories of watching Jonathan Toews growing up as a young hockey fan.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching him, a lot, obviously, and I remember kind of, those last two cups pretty well, and just how good of a player he was, and how highly everyone kind of spoke of him. So, it's going to be fun for him to get to play, obviously, against his old team and see everyone that he knows here. And but we're excited to play him as well and see him. It's obviously a great story of him coming back, and everyone's happy for him. So it's good to see a guy like that, back playing, and it'll be fun to compete against him.
There he is, Connor Bedard. That scar is looking better. It's getting there.
Yeah, it's healing up.
It's getting a little bit better. All right, we're done with nostalgia.
Yes.
We are officially at the halfway point of the pregame show. And there's a part where we say, F the Jets. It's time to kick their ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Have we done that before?
No.
Okay. Let's start now.
I just need to talk myself into it.
Let's get you got the lineup there, Joey, ready to go?
Yes, let's do that.
Let's see who's kicking the Jets' ass tonight.
Yes,
It's
no
the
Ilya
Blackhawks.
Mikheyev tonight. That's the big news. He took skated, but is not ready to go. So you've got Bedard centering Green and Burakovsky, Nazar with Teravainen and Bertuzzi, Dickinson with Donato and Doc, and then Slaggert and Foligno are your floating fourth line guys. And then you've got Vlasic, Renzel, Kaiser, Levshov, Grzelcyk, Murphy, Crevier are your 7 defensemen. So doing the
Spencer
11 and
Knight.
7 again.
Spencer Knight in goal.
Spencer Knight starting. Yes.
good.
So I do, and Louis says in the chat, big test for the Hawks.
Yeah.
I agree. And Steven sort of asked me before this show, like, gut feeling, who's going to win? I don't know. It's Winnipeg is a team that I feel is one of the best in the Western Conference, but they're another one of these teams that's gotten off to kind of a weird start. Like they're super high PDO.
These are
Some of the underlying things don't look great.
analytically, these are identical teams.
Yeah.
Like the Corsi ratings, the shots for percentage, the expected goals, the goals scored, the PDO, the Blackhawks and the Jets are all right there in the analytics
And world-class goalies.
Yeah, and goalies playing above and beyond, and you're not creating a lot of chances, but you're finishing the ones that you do create. So it's going to be fascinating seeing these two teams go up against each other. And I think, you put the rosters next to each other, talent for talent. I think you go at the Jets. But the start to this season for the Blackhawks has been really surprising, really impressive. I think you have some good momentum going over the last couple of games. And I think now you have a team that's going into a long road trip. Kind of changes up the mentality of the team a little bit. You're not going to be in the comforts of your home for a while. You're on the road. You're with you're just with the team. You're with your teammates, and it's a little bit of a different atmosphere when you go on these longer trips that aren't as common as they used to be in the NHL. Blackhawks used to go on 8-9 game road trips
when the
circus would be in town. But now, a 6-game road trip feels like a really long stretch. So it kind of changes how you go things. Your routine is a little bit different, but I think getting off to a good start would be obviously beneficial. And it's going to be a tough test because these are still the Winnipeg Jets of contention window is open now. They're in win now mode. Their expectation is to be a contender. So you can't just look at the analytics and say, "Oh, it'll be fine." Like, no, you got to go out there and be ready to go.
Yeah, be ready for the team you're playing against. And I saw, pregame, Winnipeg's the coach was saying, like, this is not a team we can take for granted anymore. And this is something that the Hawks are going to have to.
Speaking about the Hawks,
yeah, correct. Yeah. They're going to have to start getting ready for because 10 games in, they've made some noise, they've turned some heads. Mm-hmm. So maybe nights where the backup goalie starts or the team they're playing against isn't really going 100% when the puck drops to start the game, they're going to start being ready for the Hawks, and they've got to be ready to respond and answer back for that. The fact that they're so well coached makes me think they will be.
Yeah.
I hope they will be because the tests are going to start coming now. And I do think that this road trip can be really good for them, some bonding time, those sort of things. But it's also going to be their biggest test of the year so far. And Winnipeg, on paper, is as good of a team as there is in the Western Conference. So I'm really excited to see how the Hawks hold up against a team like this because a lot of times we've said that this year. They've done really well. Mm-hmm. A lot of the games where we said this is kind of a test, they've responded really well to a lot of those games.
Yeah, I mean they've been competitive in pretty much every game that they've played this season. They've gone into almost, I think, all but one third period. They've either been tied or leading. Like it's a team that has had some really good moments and a lot that they can kind of lean on and lean into about like what makes them a good team. The belief that we've heard Nick Foligno talk about so far this season about like, hey, like let's not just say we want to be a good team. Let's believe we are a good team. I think you're getting a lot of examples of that being the case, and this team is starting to really like I said, like lean into that. And when you believe that you're a good team, good things happen. You don't let yourself snowball in the wrong direction when things don't go your way. And that's kind of the difference that we've seen from the start of this season to what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, where it just seemed like one bad thing ruined the whole game for teams of the past. And now, the game against Ottawa, you're up 4-0, and then in the blink of an eye, it's 4-3. That would have been a loss last season. This is a team that I think, because of the coaching staff, like you mentioned, and their own belief in the room, they're able to not let those things happen. They're able to kind of snap out of things and stick with what got them there, especially in that Ottawa game. Go back to what got you a 4-0 lead, and they were able to turn things around.
Well, and you talk about the confidence this team has, and it's, a lot of times people are drawing, and it's probably a little premature for this, but drawing the parallel to the 08-09 Hawks, where that team was like, we're young, we're good, we're brash, like we got nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it got them to the Western Conference Final. Again, premature, not saying it's going to happen.
I mean,
but all the stuff that's like being said about the Hawks, like, well, they're young and the regression's going to happen at any moment now. Like, I don't think they give a crap about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're thinking about it at all. I think that they have seen themselves take the play to good teams many, many times this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of the time you think about the LA game and the Vancouver game, where those are two pretty damn good NHL teams and those games slipped away from them.
Yeah.
They feel that those games slipped out of their hands. They had them well in control and they lost control.
Right.
It wasn't like if all the Hawks wins looked like the Utah win, where you leave that saying, wow, we had no business getting 2 points in that game, it would feel different.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been, I would say there's probably been more instances of this team being dominant than there have been this team being on their heels and being just dominated.
I'll say that there's more instances where you don't feel like the wheels are falling off. And I think that's a big difference, because there have been games where they'll be in their own zone for a little bit longer than you'd like. They'll have stretches where they're get outshot like 8-0 over a couple minute period, but it never feels. And I think a lot of it is due to Spencer Knight mainly. Arvid Soderblom's been decent too, but I think there haven't been many moments where you're like, this is getting your head caved in.
Yeah.
I think you've been like, okay, weather the storm. Well, you'll get back to it. You'll get a power play, or you'll have Frank Nazar or Connor Bedard or Tyler Bertuzzi like create some sort of chance or some sort of swing of momentum, and that makes a big difference. And when you know that you can kind of ride the swings of the game and take advantage of when it swings back your way, like that does a lot for confidence in a group. So. I wouldn't say that the Blues game they dominated. They've had their stretches where they've really taken it to teams, but they've been able to weather those stretches where they haven't been able to much better than they have in previous seasons.
They find their way out of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, why don't we hear from the Blackhawks head coach, Jeff Blashill, who met the media after this morning skate today. This courtesy of the Blackhawks. We're looking
Jeff
for
Blashill. He's the bald one.
Yeah. We'll get it in a second, but
we did have a super chat we can address really quickly. I think it was Lebowski5 was asking why Patrice Bergeron is widely considered one of the best, or if not the best, two-way center of his generation, when it should have more consideration for Toews. I agree. I think there should be more. The fact that Jonathan Toews only won one Selke, I think, is an underachievement for him and what he was. But you have to pit Toews and Bergeron and Kopitar and Datsuk all at the same time. Like,
yeah,
that's tough.
I also think there is definitely East Coast bias, and I think the longevity that Bergeron had too. Like, he did it for a really long time at a really high level.
At that same level, yeah.
Even when he retired, like, you kind of felt like he's probably got some hockey left in him if he wanted to.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But you know what? 3 is more than 2, last I checked. So I'll take the Stanley Cups.
That's true.
All right. Jeff Blashill is ready. Let's hear it.
Jeff, how have you achieved the level of buy-in, especially on the defensive side in the early stages here? Well, I just give credit to our guys. I think our guys, they want to win, and they don't. I've said this a few times, including our best young players. They don't want to be guys who just score points on bad teams. They want to produce offense on good teams. They want to win. And so sometimes you get a group at the right time, and I think certainly our group was ready to listen. They were ready to be coached. They're ready to work hard. They're ready to go through grueling practices because they want they ultimately want to continue to improve here and get better and better and win hockey games. So they've I just give a lot of credit to our group for that.
So the motivation's there, but how hard can it be to teach young players that the best way to be good offensively is to be good defensively?
Yeah, it's a process for sure, and understanding there has to be patience on the coach's side because you're going to have some roller coaster through that. That's just reality of it, and learning when I talk all the time about make a play or live another day, and that's a balance. And when you're a really talented player, you have to have those moments where you're trying to make plays. I'd use Sam Rinzel as an example. He's a really talented defenseman that we don't want him to become just a simpleton type get it out, get it in guy. He has to be a guy who controls the puck, but he has to have that balance also of knowing when, what are the areas of the ice you don't, what are the situations you don't, how much pressure you're under. So it's a process of video. It's a process of doing stuff on the ice. I think our guys are seeing, though, ultimately, when you check for your offense, you'll create as much offense than if you try to cheat for your offense. Because when you cheat for your offense, you just spend so much time defending. I think our guys are realizing that.
That said, there's still a pretty big disparity in possession. Spencer's been, masking some of the issues. Like, do you have to keep reminding them, like, look, it's going well right now, but this doesn't mean you're actually playing perfect defense here?
We don't. We remind them on a daily basis when we're not playing good defense for sure. That's where I said I think our guys are in a spot where they're ready to be coached, and we've shown on a consistent basis things that are leading to chances against, things where we're not checking good enough, things where we're doing those things. We recognize we've gotten very good goaltending this year from both guys, and so that does allow us to learn some of these lessons while still winning hockey games. That's the difference, right? If you're not getting that goaltending, you're trying to teach those lessons when you're not. So that's been a real positive for us. But again, they get it. They know how good our goaltending's been. They know that we still need to get way, way, way better. They know those things, and that's where I think I'm most impressed with just their mindset more than anything else.
Having a defensive mindset allows you to achieve good defensive play. Looking in the standings, seeing where you guys are right now, having a mindset that you belong with the teams that you're up competing with it, how important is that, and how hard is it to achieve that?
Honestly, I don't think, I haven't thought, we're 10 games in. We've really just focused on ourselves and kind of our processes and making sure our processes are really good. I think our guys believe, when they go into each game that they can win that hockey game. And where that puts us in the standings will be dictated by how good we play and what results we get. But I do think they walk into games believing, we've said this a lot, like we have talent. It just happens to be probably pretty young. But if that talent plays a mature hockey game, then you can win games. It's one thing if you're devoid of talent. We're not. We have talent. It just is a learning process. And so let's play the right way. Let's play a mature game. When we do that, we put ourselves in position to win.
Jeff, as a fan of the game, what's it like to see Jonathan Toews back playing the way that he is?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Obviously, tons of respect for what he's been as a player. I don't honestly know him personally at all. We've barely crossed paths, but certainly as a fan of the game, ton of respect for what he's done throughout his career, and to be able to come back and play the level that he's playing right now is tremendous, and it's really kind of hats off to him for that.
Faceoffs might be extra challenging tonight with them on the other side.
Yeah, faceoffs will be challenging, and obviously with the number of young centers that we have, they are challenging on a nightly basis. But one of the things we can do to really help ourselves that we haven't been really good enough is just the help from the wingers and/or the defensemen and in D-zone coverage. We need better help on those 50-50s. We just feel like we've lost too many of those 50-50s, and so that's an area we can certainly help ourselves with.
How He is Connor Murphy in setting the standard of the mindset of this group, and what are some of the qualities he has that make coaching easier?
Yeah, so I think we're pretty lucky to have a really, really good leadership group. Including Connor. I think he understands. He's bought into the standard that we've set and help demand that players reach that standard, and that's what you want. Ultimately, when you get great leaders, they're kind of an extension of the coaching staff. But the other thing that they are that I think is extremely important in our scenario is they're what I would call, and I've said this before, Papa Bears. They're guys who can kind of help our young guys grow and get better and not hold the young guys down. And there's a huge difference there. And I've just seen the group of veterans be a group that really want to help these young guys learn and take them, put an arm around them at the right times. And sometimes as a coach's staff, you're hard on players, and you need some of those veterans to kind of pick them back up at times too. And so I think Connor's done a great job. Connor's the son of a coach, and there's I'm lucky. Nick's the son of a coach. Connor's the son of a coach. Like they get it. They understand what it takes to win and ultimately get to a better tomorrow here.
Looked like Mikheyev was back in.
Mikheyev will know game time. He's a game time decision.
Spoilers. He's not playing.
He's not playing.
We found out. All right, that's Jeff Blashill. Thanks to the Hawks for letting us use that video. That and every pregame show. We really do appreciate it. All right, we are getting close to puck drop. We're going to talk to you when the game is over. Do not miss it. We'll be here for you on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.